Out here in Arizona with me is the one and only, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, emphasis on the all, the Honky Tonk Man. How you doing tonight, sir?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm getting ready. Tomorrow morning I'll leave for Indianapolis, where I think it's going to be like 0 degrees and snow flurries. And, I mean, to just watch this weather stuff that's going on. And, you know, you hear all this global warming. Where's it warming up at? I don't know.
You know, sir?
It's not even warm here in Arizona right now.
No, it's not. And you know what? We were supposed to get rain all day today. I don't know if you guys you're only a couple blocks away, really, but I didn't get anything over here, but it's been cloudy and cold all day.
Cloudy and cold is a miserable day. Even actually yesterday was not good, but it's like I said, I'm going to Indianapolis to the World of Wheels car show starting on Friday, and supposedly snowstorms up that way, and my friend Luke Bushwhacker's coming in from San Juan, Puerto Rico through Charlotte. Hopefully he can make it in. And I haven't heard from Virgil. Virgil and Ted DiBiase were in Germany this past weekend, and they have been stranded since Monday and have not been able to leave Germany.
Wow. Really? Now, I had heard that Luke, one of the Bushwhackers, was actually in England last week, wasn't he?
Yes, he was one of the few. Oh, boy. What a story. Anyway, Luke and, who was it? Tugboat and Squeaky Clean Molly Holly, who has nothing dirty on her record at all, and Mr. Fuji in a wheelchair, and Nikolai Volkov, and Barbarian, they were all deported last week from England because they didn't have work permits.
Oh my God! I had a feeling I was setting up an interview with Luke, and the promoter all of a sudden stopped responding to my emails. So that explains why.
Well, yeah, that explains it. And then of all people who got through, Lanny Poffo came to a day early, and so did what's his name? The fella. Brian Clark, who did
he was Adam Baum.
Adam Baum and Terry Funk and his wife, they came a day early. They went right through with no problems, and then the other crew came through, and they were all detained for 6 hours, passport stamped, deported, and sent home. I mean, that's the last thing you want, is stamping your passport saying deported.
Oh man, that's no fun. You know, it's funny you mentioned global warming, though, because just before we got on the air, I said to my friend Patrick, who's on the line with us now, and he's in Maryland, they got hit with 40 inches of snow.
40 inches plus an additional foot today.
I actually said almost verbatim what you said. I said, you know what, if it was 70 degrees where you are, they'd be saying it's global warming, and now that it's 40 inches of snow on the ground, they're still saying it's global warming. I said, so basically, any weather that you get, it's global warming.
Well, I'm not a political person, but I guess Al Gore doesn't. I don't know where he lives up in Nashville, but they have snow and ice up there, and it's definitely not global warming. I can tell you.
All right.
Well, I could do for some global warming right now, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know, I got a trip planned to Mexico in about 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm going to have some fun on the beach.
That sounds like fun, man.
Awesome.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about you on the internet of late, and
yeah, I mean, it's been I'm the most controversial figure in professional wrestling, but you know, I did not create the controversy. All I did was put out a statement that I had been in contact with TNA for a deal, and everyone thought it was a wrestling deal, but it wasn't a wrestling deal. It was for an action figure deal. So, you know, I didn't say which deal I was in, so I let the people kind of decide for themselves, and obviously they ran with it. And of course, these Hogan and Bischoff and the Mr. Bubba Clem, whatever his name is, down in Tampa, they ran with this thing like wildfire.
Yeah.
The end result was that right now there's no deal on the table because I was contacted today by WWE and Mattel about doing something with them.
So what's the deal? Are they going to do their own classics line with Mattel now as well, or?
It seems that's what's in the works now. I just got preliminary stuff on it today, and and I don't know a lot about it, but apparently they're going to do the Mattel's going to do a WWE Legends line similar to what Jax did, and of course I was contacted by Jeff Jarrett to see if I was interested in doing a Jax extension of my contract with them for the Legends action figure, and I said yes, I would be interested. Send me out a contract. So, and then that's how everything got blown out of proportion. And then some of the internet sites says, I set this all up and I lied about it, but that wasn't true. I didn't lie about anything. I told the truth.
Well, I think the thing is with the internet today, all you got to do is plant a little seed and let the people who think they're in the know.
Well, and that's kind of what I did when I said that I am I'm in negotiations with TNA for a deal, and then I left it at that. It was a deal. It was for an action figure deal, but it had nothing to do with wrestling. But then everyone thought it was a wrestling deal, and this Bubba and Eric Bischoff, and what disturbs me the most is the fact that Eric Bischoff is a employee and an executive of TNA at this point, and then to go on the radio and say the things he said about me, it was very demeaning. It was very unprofessional. I can say things about Eric Bischoff if I want, because I'm not loyal to any company, and I'm not drawing a paycheck.
Right.
But if he's drawing a paycheck from a company, and even Hogan's sitting right there beside him, and supposedly Hogan, I run this company, brother. I'm in charge of TNA. Well, he should have tapped Eric under the table and said, Eric, shut up. You're not in charge of hiring and firing. I am. So obviously Hogan's not in charge either.
No, I heard the comment, and actually I heard it on the radio because I was very curious to hear what they did say, and I saw that you actually posted a video clip of it as well on your website.
Right.
And obviously from that, I feel a little bit more comfortable asking you. But Hogan made the comment, and I wanted to ask you if this was some kind of joke that I didn't get, or what the case was about you owning the name Linda Hogan.
That's not even true, and he's been told that by multiple sources. Yes. Did I tried to trademark it? Yes. I tried to trademark his son's name, Nick Hogan, because Nick Hogan's not his real name, and Linda Hogan's not her real name. But I was turned down because I knew that sooner or later, with her going through the divorce, she was going to try to get a reality show. The kid was going to get a reality show. And I listened to an interview from Gene Simmons of KISS.
One of my favorites.
Yes, and someone says to him, they said, but Mr. Simmons, you guys weren't the first band named KISS. He says, but we were the ones who trademarked it.
Exactly.
And so I did try to trademark the names, and I was turned down on them. So I don't have them. And for Hogan to say, well, he owns her now, he can have her, that's not even the case at all.
Right, and I think most people know that are being intellectually honest. I mean, most people know that. I mean, they even referenced your wife in that audio clip.
Well, yeah, that's another thing too. To take shots at a guy's family is a whole different deal, and I've not done that because there's some things that you lay off of, and I never went after Nick Hogan for being drinking and driving 100 miles an hour and darn near killing somebody or anything like that, because that's not part of the wrestling business. Sure, did I take shots at Ric Flair? Yes, he took shots at me first. Right. Did I take shots at Mick Foley? Yep, Mick took shots at me first, but Mick and I talked on the phone. Did I take shots at Jake? Yes, Jake took shots at me first. Right. Look, I never fire the first shot. I try to wait and let them do it, and then when they do it, I respond.
Exactly. And that's the best way to be. Don't start anything, and there won't be anything.
Well, I don't really start anything. Right. I mean, I said I was working on a deal with TNA, and it got all blown out of proportion. Did I turn down the Hall of Fame? Yes, I did. I absolutely declined that offer simply because they had one show for me, the Hall of Fame, and Wizard Entertainment of the Wizard World comic book conventions. They have like 12 shows booked for me.
Right.
Well, I can't turn down 12 shows for one.
Right.
Even though it's a Hall of Fame, And you say, well, it'd be great honor, Hall of Fame. Listen, the Hall of Fame for WWE is only a TV show.
I agree.
I mean, when you have limo drivers and you have baseball players and football players and I guess, who knows, Mike Tyson and I've heard Bob Uecker. I mean, Bob Uecker probably deserves to go in because he did participate in some WrestleManias.
Yeah,
but I mean, come on. Some of the people they put in is like, give me a break. It's not a Hall of Fame.
Well, we talked about it on this show. It's basically filled with the people that Vince likes and the people that Vince thinks he can make money off of, which is why normally when somebody goes into the Hall of Fame, they get a DVD release.
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, it's not a Hall of Fame. They've worked for 5 years to bring Bret Hart back in simply because they need something for the TV show, and to induct Stu would be big for the Canadian audience and big probably for the European audience. And then now they got Ted DiBiase. Of course, his son's there, and his son's a big star, so that's a shoe-in. And 9 times out of 10, if you look at it, they've inducted 3 or 4 guys who already are on payroll there anyway, so it doesn't. I mean, it's not like a Hall of Fame.
Exactly. And it's like what George Animal Steel said once. They said, where is the WWE Hall of Fame? And he said, it isn't. And they said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, there's no building that houses all this stuff. It's just put on television.
That's all. It's a TV show.
Right.
I mean, but the problem I have is the no compete clause and all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, for them to tell me that if when I inducted Coco, I had like a 5-month no compete.
Right.
And it's my wife said, "Are you going to sign this?" I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, why not? How are they going to find me in somewhere in Iowa or Nova Scotia or England or Germany and tell me you can't be out here wrestling right now? If they want to spend their time trying to find where the Honky Tonk Man is, go ahead. Waste a whole bunch of your shareholders' money. But when it comes down to the Hall of Fame, would they play hardball? Sure, they might, and say, hey, you can't work for 5 or 6 months.
Right.
So I'm going to give up 5 or 6 months of pay for one day, be on a TV show. I could care less.
And the pay wouldn't be worth that then.
No, it's really not worth it. It's not worth it at all. I can make the same pay working for Wizard.
Wow. No, you recently did go back to WWE. Well, recently as it's been a year and a half ago, and you did the Santino Marella angle, and he was doing the honkometer, and for nostalgic fans like myself, I loved it, and everybody thought, oh, this could be cool, and what's possibly going to happen here? And then he kind of just got crushed, and then they found out he was funny, so they made him unfunny, and there you go.
I really, when I first heard about it, I didn't know because I don't watch wrestling shows because I don't want to be poisoned. I mean, I have my own thing I want to... Someone said, did you see TNA? I said, I don't even know when they come on out here. Raw comes on here about 10 o'clock at night or 11 or something, so I never really watch it. The only time I watch a wrestling show is when I have to be at one. But other than that, the Santino thing, I didn't see it. They called me about it, and I said, well, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to do this. And are you willing to push this kid all the way? Well, we're not sure if we're... Because I wasn't interested if they wanted to do some kind of short-term thing, like they had called me about the Randy Orton Legend Killer thing, and it's 3 minutes, and we want him to squash you. I'm not interested in those kind of things.
Right.
And so then I looked at it about 2 or 3 weeks later. I looked on YouTube and I saw what was going on. Called him back and said, this is very interesting. It's quite entertaining. In fact, it's very good. And this Santino Marella, he is an extremely, extremely talented young player.
Yes, he's got a good, not only just in the ring, but he's also got a good presence. Yes,
he's extremely talented. And then, we had this thing going, and it was going, and it had, I thought it was one of the better angles they had going for the last 3 or 4 years. And then I go over and I do the thing, and hit him over the head with the guitar on the Monday Night Raw after the Cyber Sunday, and then 3 or 4 days later, he goes to England and loses the belt to Steve Regal in like a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Regal wasn't getting pushed at the time either. So.
No, absolutely not. And of course, Regal's had his issues behind the scenes, and it was like, why would you do this? If you're gonna let the guy lose a belt, why didn't you just let me beat the guy on Raw? And what I wanted to do, and my suggestion to them was, let's take this thing to WrestleMania. And if this kid can beat me, if he beats me at WrestleMania, then I will bow down and say, yes, you deserve this. You are the greatest of all time. But they didn't do it, and consequently, he got lost in the shuffle for about 5 or 6 months or a year now. But now he's got his own sitcom. So, and he's a great kid. And you know what? I would not have minded one iota of saying, sure, go out here. I will let this kid destroy me in 5 minutes, but let's make something out of it.
And do you think that's the problem? Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I was going to ask, do you think they could have taken the angle even further, and after he beats you, like, let's say they do the idea and he beats you at WrestleMania, do you think they could have gone even further with it and have him come close to beating your record, too?
Well, I think what my plans on it, or my ideas was, let's forget about the record. If he can beat me at WrestleMania, then the record's wiped away. He is the greatest of all time.
Right.
And leave it that way, because as long as I'm floating around in the shadows, fellas, I'm going to tell you, and I don't know if you want to believe it or anybody out there wants to believe it, but as long as I'm still floating around out here, there's always going to be that shadow that's cast upon anyone who has that belt.
Absolutely. Like I did the introduction, or the way me and Gene used to introduce you, with the emphasis on all. The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Anytime you hear the word Intercontinental Champion, you think of yourself, Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat. Think of the guys who really made the belt important.
And every January and every August, you see the guy dressed in a jumpsuit with black hair and sideburns. Half the kids out there think, who is this guy? That's the Honky Tonk Man. Well, it's actually Elvis. So, I mean, I've created something that will never die. It will never die.
Absolutely.
I might be dead and gone tomorrow, but that particular is, and I told Pat Patterson this. I said, Pat, as long as I'm around, this thing is going to overshadow anyone you try to put this belt on. Mm-hmm. And I really thought Santino, with the way he was doing it, had a chance to finally get rid of this legacy, which was fine with me. I didn't care. I was willing to do it.
I thought if any guy that they had a chance with was Randy Orton a few years back.
Yeah, but then they went a whole different direction with him, and really I'm glad they did, because to me, Randy Orton's probably the premier talent there right now. Randy has some backstage issues, which causes him problems periodically, but I still think he's like The Rock. He has the size, he has the look, he can wrestle, he can talk. I mean, this kid has it all. But he has those backstage issues, which is, when you're a publicly traded company, you really can't turn him loose.
Exactly, right.
And I really think if they turned him loose, he would overshadow anyone who's there right now.
That's possible. Now, I wanted to go back to your return, when you returned for the Cyber Sunday altercations with Santino. You actually called a match alongside a former broadcast partner of yours, who I know you've had your ups and downs with, Roddy Piper. Now, in recent years, there's been death threats and crazy things between the two of you. How'd you guys put that aside to appear together?
Oh, boy, I love the wrestling business. There's no other business like it. The Fullers, back in the years gone past, down in Mobile, Alabama, the Fullers family who trained me, and they shot an angle between one of their cousins who married one of their sisters, and then had an affair with someone, and they shot an angle and sold like 20,000 tickets in the 60s or 70s to a baseball stadium in Mobile, Alabama, off of this particular angle, and it was a legitimate angle. You know, it really happened.
Oh,
but the best angles are the true ones, and but Roddy and I don't know where they stem from. I mean, I really don't. It's like I said, these guys take the first shot at me, and when they fire at me, should I just duck under and crawl down in a hole, or should I fire back?
And it's to a degree, though, it's also kept your name alive, though, because as long as you're feuding with somebody, people are still talking about you.
Well, you know that's the beauty of the wrestling business, or any. I mean, even look at Sarah Palin right now.
Yep.
With the political business.
Yep.
She's out there pushing now for like 2 years down the road.
Yep.
I mean, if you crawl in a hole, you will be dead. If you keep your name out there, you will stay alive. The more stuff that happened with Bubba the Love Sponge, Mr. Todd Allen Clem, I call him now Mr. Clem, the more stuff he said about me, and can you imagine, he's a TNA employee, and they wasted all that precious airtime talking about me. It gave me unlimited publicity. And if I was the station manager or the owner of the radio station, I'd say, listen, if you're going to be sitting here plugging this guy or plugging TNA all day long, you better start buying ads.
Well, that's what I mentioned to you in the email, and that's kind of bothered me. He made a big stink on his show after Jim Cornette went off on him, and he was saying, oh, how stupid people are if they want to devote their time to doing a wrestling show. Well, I looked at his upcoming roster of who he's got coming on. He's got Jeff Jarrett coming on. He's got Goldust from WWE coming on, and most of his topics stem around Hulk Hogan and TNA. So in reality, isn't he basically doing a wrestling talk show?
Well, that's exactly right. And Hogan is a master manipulator. Other than my friend Dr. D. David Schultz, who helped break Hogan in, and then myself and Dr. D trained Hogan in beefcake. Hogan's a master manipulator. And he's used this guy all the way through. He's used this guy to help him with his divorce. He's used this guy to hedge his bets with WWE. He's used this guy to hedge his bets with WCW. And now he's got this Dixie Carter eating out of his hand. Fellas, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's my prediction.
All righty.
12 months from now, with the payroll they're having with Hogan and Bischoff and all these cronies that Hogan's bringing in, TNA will eventually pull the plug and say, that's it. It's over. We cannot afford this anymore.
You think it's going to take a WCW turn?
And Vince is sitting there with like a big smoked turkey bone, turkey leg going, boy, when this is over, I'm going to buy those tapes from them just like I did WCW for like $2 million. He bought $100 million company for like $2 or $4 million.
$2.5 million to be exact. Yep. Insane.
He didn't buy ring truck. He didn't buy anything but the tapes.
He brought the tape library and the trademark. That's all he bought.
That's all.
Exactly.
And he's going to do the same thing that, you know what? I will go on record right now saying I think Bischoff and Hogan are double agents.
You believe Hogan and Bischoff are double agents for
Yes.
Vince McMahon?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's an interesting take, and a lot of people thought that of Vince Russo when Vince Russo went to WCW. But let me take you.
No, Vince Russo's not that smart.
Well, here's one more conspiracy theory, and I'm going to give you credit for having the cojones to say it before anybody else was thinking it, or to say it while everybody else was thinking it. Why was there a camera crew following around Bret Hart around that time? And I'm going to ask you now, do you think that now, based on the fact that they're doing the storyline, that maybe, possibly, in any alternate universe, this was actually a work?
No.
You don't believe so?
No, I don't. No, I don't, because I was part of that video, and no, I don't.
So you believe that it was all, wow, okay, you believe it was all legit?
Because I was in Hartford, Connecticut about 3 or 4 weeks before the Montreal screw job, and I was sitting at the table with Arnold Skolin, just sitting there because they had me at TV doing nothing back then.
Right, I remember,
And Bret Hart, and I heard all this commotion, everybody's running in the locker room, and the word came back to myself and Arnold Skolin. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels down on the floor pulling each other's hair out.
Yeah, I remember that. They had the hair fight, yeah.
So, yes, I mean, that was, no, there was a legitimate hatred between those two for some reason that I don't know what it was. I mean, it had to do with probably, you know, the word was sunny
right.
days, and then Shawn going out and shooting on Stu Hart, going, Stu's a dinosaur and he should be dead or something. And I'm going to tell you what, from the Hart family, and I know them very well, and I would defend them to the end.
Right.
Other than the fact that Bret thinks he really won the belt instead of the promoter gave it to him. But those Hart kids, I promise you, they would take a bullet for their dad, and they would kill for their dad, or they would be killed defending their father. And Bret took serious issue with the fact, not the Sonny thing so much, but he took serious issue with Shawn Michaels going out and shooting on his father.
Wow, that kind of shut me up. I apologize for that.
I know that, and the day before I left for Montreal, my wife says to me, she says, "Do you think Bret Hart's going to do the job for Shawn Michaels?" I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "It will never happen." I knew it in my heart. The day before I left for Montreal, and I left the locker room 10 minutes before everything happened. I was sitting right beside Jim and Davey and Bret. We were all sitting on the same bench together.
Yep.
And I called a cab. I said, "Boys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to head out to Ottawa." And then when I got to Ottawa, I heard about this, and it was like, gosh. And my wife said, she said, "Do you think Bret Hart's going to do that job for Shawn Michaels?" I said, "Absolutely not. There's too much hatred there."
Now, in your opinion, do you think he should have? Because that's been a point of debate among people.
You know, there again, well, people are going to ask me, should I have done the job for Savage? You know, and I refuse to do that. I mean, it comes down to a business decision, and Bret had a business decision to make, and they had a business decision to make, and it comes down to business. I mean, and then it comes down to personality. But Randy and myself, there was no personality involved in it, and same with Johnny B. What's his name, Johnny?
Johnny B. Bad. Mark Merrill.
Mark Merrill in WCW. And I went to Mark and I said, "Mark, this is nothing against you, but, you know, I don't have a contract. You're on a contract with $350,000 a year. I don't have a contract. And they want me to go out here and lay down for you tonight." And I said, "You know, it's nothing against you. It's business. I'm not going to do it. I have to protect myself." And he understood. And I went to Randy and I told him the same thing. I said, "Randy, you know, I can't do it. It's a business decision." And he understood. And so we were all good with it. But Bret and Shawn they obviously never got together and said, "Look, this is a business decision. I'm just not going to do it for you."
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Well, I got to tell you, it's been great having you on, and we're going to let you go in just a moment here because I know it's getting late here in Arizona, and I'm feeling like crap, and I think you said you've had...
Yeah, I've had this stuff going on for about 3 or 4 weeks, but...
You know, I've heard that there's mono going around as well.
Yeah.
You looked into that, possibly?
Goody.
Yeah, that's no fun. Yeah, they call it the kissing disease. Unfortunately, it never comes from that.
Well, I'm not a mono. I'm a tri. I'll try anything.
There you go. But I did want to ask you this question here. Some of your harshest critics always point at your ring work, and they say, "Oh, he wasn't that great about this, that, the other thing." And I always say, well, you say that, but he had the personality, and have you ever actually seen any work that he did prior to the Honky Tonk Man?
Well, see, and you made a very good point. That's the point. The point is, there's so many analysts and so many critics who have never looked back on my work product prior to the 12 or 14 years before I came to WWE to see, the matches between myself and Lawler and Dundee and the Blonde Bombers in Memphis and Austin Idol and the Armstrongs and the Briscoes and all those people and the Dynamite Kids and the Davey Boy Smiths and the Brets and all the people in Calgary. If they went back and looked at some of that, maybe they would say, once the guy got to WWE, he became a cartoon character, which everyone in WWE at that time was a cartoon character. But
actually, Jim Duggan was the same way.
But I hear the same thing about Hogan. Hogan was terrible. All he could do was walk out, rip his shirt off, do the ear thing. Listen, Hulk Hogan spent 12, 14 years, toiling and perfecting his craft. And I'm not here to want to put him over or anything like that, but he was selling out in Minnesota with Nick Bockwinkel and guys before he came to WWF. But yet it's like, that guy couldn't wrestle. He couldn't do anything. Okay. Who would you if you want to see wrestling, go to the YMCA.
Exactly.
If you want to see wrestling, go over to the college campus.
Yeah. You think that's what people don't get these days, though, I think people have taken everything so seriously, and I don't know if it's after 9/11, I don't know if it's people getting on the internet and becoming so smart-alecky, or what the case might be, but it seems like everybody just analyzes and overanalyzes everything so much now that they suck the fun out of it.
Well, what you have to understand is 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the internet was a bunch of 12-year-old kids who was analyzing wrestling, and people like WCW who had a booking committee would take that piece of paper in and say, here's what the internet said. Well, who is the internet back then? Who is the internet now? You can't listen to those kind of people. Listen, this business is about selling tickets. And I can tell you one thing. Hulk Hogan sold tickets. I sold tickets. Stone Cold sold tickets. The Rock sold tickets. Guys before me sold, and Bruno sold tickets. It's about selling tickets. When you're selling 20,000 tickets every night, you're obviously doing something good. If you're doing something bad, nobody show up.
Exactly. And the final question I have for you.
That's my thing to the critics.
Yep, exactly. And
go back and look at the Tupelo concession stand match.
I have that. Actually, believe it or not, I just was going through some old Memphis tapes that I've got, and I was watching some of your blondes.
And for all those critics out there, just watch that tape. We created that night because there's a young kid in the locker room named Eddie Gilbert. His dad was there working on a card that night. Eddie Gilbert, later in life, teamed up with Paul Heyman and created ECW.
Absolutely.
Case closed.
And there you go. And Eddie Gilbert was one of the finest minds this business has ever known.
And a fantastic person and a great worker, and I helped train Eddie.
Wow.
In fact, I had the first match he ever had in the business.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that. You've stumped me, and I'm kind of the wrestling answer man. So there you go. I didn't even know that. Well, it's been great having you on the show, and I can't thank you enough. Anytime you want to come back to promote anything, give us a call. We'd love to have you. One final thing, and I hate to do this to plug another product.
Well, just plug honkytonkman.net.
honkytonkman.net. I hate to do this to plug another product that you were involved in, but how did you enjoy being part of the shoot interview with the Iron Sheik and New Jack that includes partial nudity?
I'll tell you what, it was a night of that will go down in wrestling history. The police came. It was bad. It got nasty.
That was one of the most insane shoot interviews I've ever seen.
It got you know what? It got really nasty, but I enjoyed doing it, and I don't do those. I don't do them anymore because it's a time in my life that's past now.
Yeah.
because all the guys that I could shoot on are all dead now. And they can't defend themselves. And I don't want to shoot on somebody who can't stand up to the plate and defend themselves. But, yeah, when the Iron Sheik couldn't pull his pants up and New Jack was jumping up and down and we were all mooning each other and it got ugly. I tell people who say they watch this, please don't watch those things anymore.
Oh, man. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. And the website is honkytonkman.net.
honkytonkman.net.
There you go. You can find out some blogs on there. You're always opinionated, always offering your thoughts and comments.
And we're going to have a breaking news story about Honky Tonk Man WWE coming up in about a week or so.
Very good, very good. I'm looking forward to seeing it there. It's very cool to walk into the Toys R Us and still see Honky Tonk Man and Jake Robert Jackson figures on the shelves, and hopefully that will continue to happen.
In fact, I got to call Jake tomorrow. He called me last night.
Very good. I love Jake. Jake's a good guy. All right. Thanks so much, man. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
There you go. That was the Honky Tonk Man here on the Interactive Interview on WrestlingEpicenter.com. Great guy. I actually very much enjoyed that. What did you guys think?
I'll be honest. I was a little worried about how this one was going to turn out because obviously the Honky Tonk Man is one of those guys that has a reputation. We'll leave it at that. But I thought this turned out really well.
Me too. I'm kind of glad that he got a chance to clear up, his side of the story when it came to the whole TNA deal, Because I'll be honest, I was kind of under the opinion of going into this, like, how can he blame anybody else, for this? Because he's the one that was claiming that he was having a wrestling contract with TNA, and then I realized, well, he never did say that he had a wrestling deal with TNA. He went a little bit further and explained it was part of an action figure deal.
Which I don't know if that's necessary. I know that, Nick, you're kind of the answer man when it comes to TNA and the news, okay? So maybe you can help me out. What exactly is the deal with Jax and TNA? Are they official?
They are.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, they are official. I've actually seen preview photos of what some of the action figures will look like and what some of the packaging will look like. And I've heard that Jax is doing a Legends of the NWA line to continue on their whole classic line. So, maybe it's possible that that Jax went to Jeff Jarrett and said, "Hey, do you know who the Honky Tonk Man is? Can you get us in contact with them again?" And maybe that's what led to one thing or another. So,
now I don't know how that worked out, but I do know that they are doing that Legends of the NWA action figures line. Hulk Hogan has already got one coming out, which is ironic because while Hogan worked for the NWA, he essentially was the anti-NWA during the.
He's what John Cena was to ECW.
I guess you could say that,
yeah. We kind of said this. You really look at the majority of Hulk Hogan's career. His best stuff obviously comes in WWF, WCW, and even before then, it wasn't the NWA. It was really AWA that he was most known for before, going back to New York.
He and Andre and them had their little, playful little things in the NWA, and they passed through on again, off again NWA so-called territories like Memphis and them, which I've never been clear if that was part of the NWA or not. And the NWA is such a bizarre organization that you can never really say what the hell was and wasn't NWA.
It was like 47 different promotions, it seemed like, and it's still that way now. There are still at
but
least
none of
5
them
or 6
matter
different
anymore, unfortunately.
What'd you say?
None of them matter anymore, unfortunately.
Oh no, they don't. It's just a breeding ground for young stars.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. AJ Styles came from NWA Wildside, I think it was.
NWA Wildside. I have some of his matches, and he was very good then. I actually have been watching some old WCW Thunders because I got the 2001 Thunders, all the ones from that. And there was some stuff in there with Alex Wright and AJ Styles, and they actually worked very well together. And this was AJ before anybody knew who the hell AJ was.
Right.
And you could just tell. You might not have known that he would have gone on to become the magnitude of star that he's become, but you could tell that he was damn good.
Definitely. And, those are actually kind of like little lost treasures in a way. Like, sometimes you wonder, man, it's kind of, I guess, the old Marvel comic book. What if, WCW hadn't closed, could AJ have really made a run in WCW? Could he have gotten, higher up on the card? Or, is it ultimately the best thing that for him anyway, the WCW closed and he got the fresh slate with TNA where he kind of was able to slide in there as like, well, nobody else really is here. This guy is amazing.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the one guy that I think suffered the most, the one young guy that suffered the most when WCW closed, that was just coming in and getting a push, was Easy Money Jason Jett. Because this was a guy... What's that again?
He was good.
Oh, yeah. This was a guy who came in, who had a look, he had the character, he had the colorful outfits that he needed, and he had it all down. The charisma, the personality, the in-ring ability, he could do it all. And despite the fact he worked like a little guy, people don't realize he wasn't that small. He was a pretty good-sized boy. He was probably, a little bit bigger than Shawn Michaels, which back in the day, Michaels used to be considered a small guy. Now he's somewhat in the middle. But
he's probably closer to Mark Merrow size, because I know we talked off the air about Mark Merrow being able to do a shooting star press despite his size. And Easy Money was kind of cut from the same cloth.
Exactly, and he had a great match with Kiwi, favorite on this show, at WCW Greed pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an awesome match, and there was such great chemistry. And if you left that show, the opening match, you were thinking, wow, this guy really could end up being something. And unfortunately, when that company closed, he ended up in HWA, down with that crazy son of a gun, Les Thatcher, who I have a lot of respect for, but he's a crazy son of a bitch. And WWE Training Ground, and you know what? He never really got called up to WWE, and brief stint at TNA, but by then as we say, the window of opportunity had closed.
Yep, pretty much. Well, it's unfortunate. It happened for a lot of guys when WCW closed, and that was probably the biggest negative impact that losing WCW and ECW had, is that the boys just have nowhere to go. It's like you for a while, it was just you either go to WWE or you're screwed. Sorry.
And until recently, and I've gone back and forth so many times on my opinions on TNA, but until recently, a lot of the guys still felt that way. Even though TNA's been around for coming up to 8 years now, a lot of guys still felt like WWE was the only real place to go. Now they're starting to think otherwise, but...
Well, yeah, how many people have Hogan and Bischoff brought in?
Too many, but that's another story for another day.
Yep.
I liked it. I liked the interview, though. That was very good. And you know what? I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens at this pay-per-view, and I think it's coming up Sunday.
Yep, against All Odds?
Yeah, and we're going to have to see what happens with this pay-per-view and see what we're going to do talent-wise. I wanted to talk about this a little bit last week, and I'm going to go a little earlier than usual again, guys, because my throat is kind of throbbing, and I got to be up and...
dude, go to bed, man.
No, dude, I'm all right. I threw up right before the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Did you get what happened to me where I just got the stomach flu and I just couldn't keep anything down?
When was that?
That was a couple weeks ago.
No. What I got now is I got that. I got a terrible cough. I had the extremely hot flashes for a few days, for a day, like a freaking menopausal woman. And then today, this is the truth. I believe ibuprofen is a gift from God. Because I was feeling like total shit on Monday night. And I had the DVD recorder recording for Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men, because I figured, there's no way, I just can't stay awake. I'm too tired. And Cassie gave me 2 ibuprofens, and I was laying in bed. About 10 minutes later, my entire body tingled.
Yeah, what?
My entire body tingled.
I think you're trying to say tingle, but it sounds like tinkled.
No, I didn't pee on myself.
This time.
That's what it sounds like you're saying there, Arizona.
Oh, man. Well, I tingled. I was all a quiver, and I sat up, and I started laughing and making stupid jokes and being annoying as hell, and I was feeling great. So I do believe that ibuprofen is a gift from God. It can cure lepers. I don't know what the hell. It's a freaking amazing thing.
Maybe Penny and Sheldon should have taken that.
That was a great episode too, by the way. And Two and a Half Men was surprisingly very good this week too.
Yeah, I feel bad for Charlie.
He threw up on a baby.
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen that on any show anywhere.
Yeah, Simpsons didn't do that.
Yep, no, not yet. Well, they can't do it now, I guess. But
oh well. So, and I want to talk about this from last week, and I don't know how much we got into it or you guys got into it, but the Hogan and Bischoff State of TNA address that we kind of summarized with the Honky Tonk Man. Now, there was a lot of comments in there, and there's a couple that I wanted to say that I really was glad to hear.
Sure.
One of them was Hogan's opinion on Abyss, where Hogan said that that Abyss is probably his favorite character in TNA. And another was Pope D'Angelo, where both Hogan and Bischoff said that they are huge fans, and of all the guys, he's the guy who gets it. Because I believe that to be the case. This guy is good. Very, very good. And I never would have thought I'd heard myself saying that a year and a half ago.
No, Elijah Burke, when WWE let him go, I thought, I mean, he's a good athlete, but he didn't have much to offer other than that. And since he's been in TNA, man, he's right up there. He's one of the hottest characters in the company.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things that they said in this it wasn't a teleconference, it was above the Love Sponge radio interview. They took shots at people and they said what they said, but they took shots at Jericho, and I thought that was kind of a funny line. Hogan said he would love to have Jericho in TNA, and Bischoff said that Jericho would be a good addition, but he could never be a main eventer, and he should never have been a main eventer.
That's bullshit.
Right, and Jericho's response on Twitter almost immediately following that was, yeah, I could never main event in TNA because I'm not in my 50s.
Well, it looks like Jericho's going to get a WrestleMania main event, so...
Yeah, but if I was Bischoff, I would have tweeted right back saying, no word yet on if Jericho was intoxicated while writing that post. So, the thing about the Jericho thing, and I'm kind of on a roll, and I'm going to go off in just a sec, but, and I promise I'll give you guys time to talk because I'm kind of just rambling here. But the thing about the Jericho thing, I wanted to say, I agree that it was probably not him that caused the trouble because Chris Jericho is kind of, I'd like to think of him as having been there, done that with the crazy shit, and Shane Helms is kind of an idiot. So I can believe that it wasn't Jericho's fault. However, shortly thereafter, he's tweeting from the heavy metal bar about, covers of cult songs and things. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty straight-laced. I'm not a straight-edge guy, but I don't really drink much. And even when I went to a concert last Saturday, I didn't drink anything. I got into a fight with a guy who did, but I didn't drink anything. So, when you guys go to bars, do you drink?
Well,
because I don't think it's a good idea for Jericho to be posting that he's at bars and things shortly after getting arrested for being in public intoxication.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
It really sounds like a stupid idea, especially even for some reason. I mean, I've been reading some of these tweets, and it just seems like Jericho's kind of pissed off that he got caught. So, like he's posting things about TMZ, you're still following me. It's like, yeah, man, I mean, you're a public person who makes his living in front of a business that, is on television, and you made a mistake, you have to expect some backlash at some point.
Yeah. I would agree.
You should be blaming his problems on Shane Helms. Don't go drinking with Shane Helms. Christopher Daniels learned that lesson, too.
That's a good point. Didn't Daniels get caught with Helms as well?
Yeah, there's actually a photo that surfaced on the internet of Daniels and Helms drinking together, which now is getting reposted a lot of places because of the fact that Helms got arrested with Jericho.
He traded one Chris for another.
Yeah.
Bald Chris or blonde Chris?
Maybe he was drinking with Kaz, and that's resulted in those naked pictures.
Which I pray to God that those don't get posted on our website.
I didn't. I've seen them, but I didn't post them.
Yeah. I haven't seen them. Don't want to see them.
You know what bothers me about it, though? You know, I'm a pretty loyal dude and all that. And, you know, I'm not no saint. Don't get me wrong and all that. But the rumor that I'm hearing, and maybe you guys can correct me, is that he was already cheating on Tracy.
Moron.
Now, my wife is good looking, and I'd put her up there with Tracy Brooks any day. What do you possibly get out of chasing somebody else if you've already got it? I don't know. I don't understand the concept of cheating. Is the I don't know.
Some people get bored. Yeah.
Yeah,
some
but
people.
Yeah, but what the hell is he, ADHD? I mean, his attention span had to be short. He's only been married a couple of months.
Well, less than that. I think like a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Well, let me just kind of say this. And like we said, this is all kind of speculation and rumor. But the rumor actually is that apparently he's had this relationship on the side for several years. Like, apparently he was dating this girl around the time that he was getting engaged. So, but once again, that's all rumor. That's all speculation. Because, I mean, I'm just going to say this, and I don't want to go too far, and I don't want to, go comment on something I really don't know about, but to me, I've seen the pictures. There's a part of me that's wondering if this is just the way his hair is, which for people that don't remember Kaz, he always had that ponytail. The hairstyle looks like what he had a couple of years ago when he was first coming back to TNA. So, I don't know if hair recently, but I mean, these pictures could be a couple of years old. That's just me speculating, though.
We'll have to wait and see. And like we basically said on the show already, the internet never lets the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yep.
But I'm gonna
look at the Honky Tonk Man.
Yep. And Honky knows what he's doing though, and he basically said it. He's like, look, I wanted people to think that, but that's just because they'll talk about me more, and they talk about me more, and he didn't say this, but I'll tell you, you talk about the guy more, he's going to get more bookings. So that's how it works. But anyway, I'm getting ready to jump off here, guys, but let's go with two quick things. First of all, for those who didn't hear, I'd like to send out my condolences. I never really watched the show all that much, but my wife's a big fan of it, of Deadliest Catch. Captain Phil passed away.
Oh.
Did you hear about that?
I hadn't heard that, no.
No, Captain Phil passed away. He had a stroke last week, and he died last night. So God bless Captain Phil and his family. I know his boys are on that show, so I watch the show occasionally. I'm not obsessed with it or anything, but I do like. I did like that guy, and I'm sad to see him go. And oh boy, all right. And I'll leave you guys with the downer there. And I'm looking for. And I'll say this as well. Here's an upside thing. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when TNA actually returns to a show taped in this month, or filmed in this month, with the pay-per-view happening this coming Sunday. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with it. And I'll be watching, and I'm hoping that TNA can pull something out here, because unfortunately sometimes I get my concerns that Honky could be right about the making the same mistakes about the payroll and things like that
right.
The WCW made. So we'll have to see. Because like I've said a million times on this show, and I'll say one more time, WCW is the greatest form of blueprint towards creation of a company and building a company up. And it also is exactly the exact same way that you crash down to the ground. So everything that they did right, they also did wrong. And if TNA is going to take the steps up the ladder, they got to remember that ladder eventually ends, and then you can take a tumble head first off. So we'll have to see what happens.
Alrighty.
Take it easy, guys.
Alright, have a good night, James. Get some rest, dude.
5 minutes.
Alrighty, that was. What'd you say, Nick?
More thing, guys.
He sounds terrible, poor guy. He called me up couple of hours before we started the show, and he sounded horrible. He could barely get 2 words out, and he said, "We got to interview Honky Tonk Man." And I'm like, dude, how are you going to interview anybody?
It's just so weird, but everybody I know is getting sick. My mother, James, my coworkers, a couple of my friends. Honky Tonk Man apparently is not feeling well either. Like I feel like the outbreak monkey.
I just came off of sickness myself. So
you were sick. It's like maybe I'm the outbreak monkey or something.
maybe.
Oh good.
Maybe.
All right. Oh boy.
Well, James talked about it. Do you want to preview Against All Odds? I mean, I guess we don't have the entire card, but we can pretty much wing it.
Yeah, we can wing it, and Phil, we'll talk about the Super Bowl maybe because we're football fans. But
yeah. Good game, by the way.
One of my favorite games, by the way. Awesome. I'm actually looking forward to this Sunday more because I've got a double shot of excitement. I got the Daytona 500 during the day, the TNA pay-per-view during the night, which means I'm going to eat so many fattening foods and not move at all. My doctor will probably think I'm going to die.
Well, I know we talked about it last week where my plans were I was supposed to spend Saturday and Sunday with my girlfriend because it's her birthday on Saturday and Valentine's Day on Sunday. Right now, she's buried at her house. I'm buried at mine. We're not going anywhere, so I guess I will be able to watch Against All Odds.
Yeah, maybe you can watch the NASCAR race and hope that Carl Edwards crashes.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, which apparently, by the way, Hornswoggle will not be driving his car.
Oh, thank heavens.
Oh, God.
And I'll be honest, I think Raw has gotten better the last few weeks to the point where it's watchable. But, God damn it, I can't. Hornswoggle, it's just, he's the Jar Jar Binks of wrestling. There's no other way to say it.
Exactly. It's like, doesn't matter if he has almost no time in the movie and his only real scene is, that anime funeral, it still ruins the whole event for you.
When I went to go see episode 3, people booed when he showed up for those 2 seconds.
People did as well when I saw it. So anyway, getting back to actual wrestling, it's Against All Odds, TNA's traditional February pay-per-view. We've got.
I'll be honest, this show usually sucks. I'm usually not a big fan of Against All Odds.
I mean, it kind of takes and goes. I'll say one of my favorite moments in TNA history happened here. That was Christian winning the world title from Jarrett. But you do have a point. Traditionally, the show isn't that strong, probably because they're, probably just, I don't know. Maybe they just don't really care about it. They're building for Lockdown, which for once they're actually going to build in something unique because the real draw of this show is the 8-card stud tournament, which will determine the number 1 contender for Lockdown, which will mean we actually get 2 whole months to build up a number 1 contender and actually see the feud transpire out of TNA.
Right, and I think that's a very good thing. I think, set up a match months in advance and then deliver at the big pay-per-view. I think it could be very good.
Exactly. I mean, just the sheer, possibility of, what could happen. I mean, we don't know all the names I don't remember all the names from the spoilers, but we do have a couple of names already confirmed for the tournament, and it's one of our favorite people, Desmond Wolf, was the first guy to qualify. Definitely has the ability, the potential to be a world champion challenger, and obviously the skill this guy has. I mean, he could wrestle 3 or 4 times a night, to do a tournament and make it really interesting. Then Supermax Hernandez is the next guy to qualify, and Mr. Anderson is next, and then your favorite wrestler in the whole wide world, Patrick Kurt Angle.
Oh, I've calmed down a lot on Kurt Angle now that they don't build the entire show around him. Because I said it before, when I was getting mad that he was basically, 2-hour show and he's taking about an hour and a half of it. But they've really cut down on that, especially since about Destination X lockdown time last year. So now we're getting to see Angle contribute to the show in a way that doesn't hurt it.
Exactly. And, here's the thing. Those 4 guys that I just mentioned, they're all really talented wrestlers. So these 4 guys alone, if you told me that these guys were going to have a tournament, I'd be excited to watch it. Because, there's, number of possibilities, what we could see. it's going to be a wrestling night. I think we're going to get a lot of good wrestling matches out of this, and that's something that just excites me. The idea of, oh wow, there's going to be a whole lot of wrestling on this show, and it won't be angles and stories.
Right, and as for who the other four are, I do remember what the spoiler said. At least, and once again, this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, mute us out for the next few minutes. D'Angelo Dinero will qualify, and so will Matt Morgan, which I think is right, because if Hernandez is going to be in it, then Matt Morgan should be in it, because I think Morgan's better. And if I had to guess on who the other two were, I've heard that I watched before the bell against All Out special, and Abyss said that he was going to win the tournament, so I assume he's going to be in it, and I assume Mick Foley's going to be in it. Just I'm assuming that, just for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Well, probably Foley's still all over the show. I mean, but you know what? Those 8 guys, there's a lot of great things we could see out of there. I mean, we could see some first-time matchups. We could see, and there's a great opportunity to see a young guy advance. I think, unfortunately, the favorite still is Angle to do another AJ Angle match, which I think TNA has overloaded on, and I pray they don't make it Angle again, because I just feel, like I said, we've seen that match so many times lately that it's not special right now.
Right, well, they already got we got the big pay-per-view main event out of Genesis, and we had the big match on this January 4th show, so I don't see the reason to repeat it. Personally, if it were up to me, I would give the win to Matt Morgan.
I actually agree with you. I love Matt Morgan. I think he's probably, of the guys that haven't gotten a world title shot yet, he's the class of the field in a lot of ways. And maybe Wolf's the only one really close to him, or possibly Pope. But it's like, he's the guy that's been there the longest. He's the guy that just kind of has that perfect look. I would love to see the, idea of what's AJ going to do when he has to face Matt Morgan in a cage where, AJ can't, jump out of the ring. He can't roll away. He can't fly as much as he wants to, because, he's cut off, by this big 7-foot giant that's stalking him. And those two had some great matches during that Best of 7 series they did last fall.
They did. I also wouldn't be surprised, and, James said on the air that Hogan is very high on Abyss. I wouldn't be surprised if they did a repeat of Lockdown 2005 and gave the win to Abyss, which I wouldn't mind that, because I love watching those two work with each other. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is actually a little knock on TNA, but not that much, but it seems like the theme of AJ's title reign has been renew classic feuds of the past with this guy. I mean, the 3-way rematch, the 1-on-1 rematch with Daniels, and now the rematch with Joe, which we'll talk about in a minute. So it really wouldn't surprise me if it's Abyss, who is, like we said, that original Lockdown match, oh my God, one of the very best in TNA history. I mean, absolutely amazing. And, it also would not surprise me, especially since he beat AJ this past week on Impact, if the Pope got a title shot.
I wouldn't be surprised either, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I've already put over the Pope as one of my favorite guys in TNA, but I think he's at that place that Morrison was last year, where he's getting really hot, and I think he's got a lot of time for it to grow and develop and build. Of course, WWE took Morrison and stalled his face turn so much that he's not even a relevant part of the show anymore. But
Right. Which yeah, if we have time, we'll talk about that. We'll talk to that, because there's some plans for Morrison, and he might actually be hurt.
I hear that he's not going to miss any time.
Yeah. So,
I heard Wrestling R-Truth. It's like, Patrick Kelly, we're going to F you, buddy. We're going to screw with you. We're going to have one of your favorite wrestlers get hurt at the hands of the guy you probably hate the most in the WWE.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
But,
line.
What'd you say?
Is James back in the line? Because I thought I heard him.
No, he's gone.
Okay. Speaking of guys we don't like very much, there's only 2 really announced for sure matches on this card, and one is a tag team encounter between the Nasty Boys and Team 3D, which I will say this is what the word piss break was invented for, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God, this is gonna suck unless the only way that this could be salvaged is if it's a hardcore match, and that will make it at least semi-watchable. But this is gonna be, oh my God, this is gonna be bad. Like, this is gonna be really, really bad.
This is going to be one of those matches where you just go, why? For the love of God, I don't really hate 3D, but I hate the Nasty Boys. You know, if anyone wants, I mean, there's a lot of positives to Hogan, but there's also some knocks. The big knock is these two guys are his friends, and that's the reason they have a job right now. Get rid of them.
And look at last month's pay-per-view. Beer Money Inc. beat the Outsiders. Like, that's a big win. Where are they? They haven't even been on TV since getting that big win. It's like, you have all these other teams, Motor City Machine Guns, Generation Me, all these tag teams, British Invasion, and you feature the Nasty Boys?
Here's my hope. This is my honest-to-God hope. And if Eric Bischoff is listening, if Dixie Carter somehow is listening, if Hulk Hogan is, listening, which maybe he does, I'm sure he loves to hear James talk about how great he is. It's like, for the love of God, please, here's my idea. They're in the ring. The entire tag team division rushes them, throws them both out the door, and then we get like a battle royal between the tag teams to determine the number one contender, Morgan and Hernandez.
That'd be interesting. I'm sure the internet would love that. That would be a bait and switch that I don't think anybody would be opposed to.
I just want to say, the bell's about to ring. All of a sudden, the entire roster rushes the ring. Next thing you know, they're gone, and we get something awesome. But I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately.
No, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, so you know what? I'll pick 3D to win, because if 3D doesn't win, that means the Nasty Boys are sticking around. And dear God, I don't know if I can handle that.
I don't know, and I don't want to bash the Nasty Boys because I actually enjoyed their work back when they were relevant and in their prime. But, I mean, my God, and Knobs is so out of shape. He blew up while cutting a promo, and I just have no hope for this match at all. I'm going to pick 3D to win. For the reason that you said, I don't think the Nasty Boys should be a mainstay, and if they brought him in just to job to Team 3D, that's fine. Whatever, but don't keep him around. That would be ridiculous.
Nas would blow up getting a sandwich.
Probably.
But anyway, the main event, though, which if Nasty Boys and 3D are going for worst match of all time, these are the two guys that might give us the best match of all time, and that is the TNA World Champion AJ Styles defending against Samoa Joe, which is Joe cashing in his Feast or Fire shot. So, these two guys together, they've worked with each other so many times, they know each other so well, it's like you're almost guaranteed to get something special out of them.
Yeah, I can't recall a time where these two wrestled each other and didn't have a good match. So, if you want a pure wrestling main event, which it seems to be AJ Styles' title reign has been all about amazing wrestling-based main events, then, yeah, you're going to get that out of this match. And I think it's a good match to have. It's a good way to kind of reintroduce Joe, because he hadn't done much since the January 4th special. So this last Impact, they did a great job of reintroducing him, I felt. And we'll see how it goes. I think they'll have a great match. I think AJ needs to retain. But I think they might do a DQ finish here with AJ worming away with the title. And then next month at Destination X, which is an All X Division pay-per-view, they'll do AJ and Joe again.
Right. I don't know if I would say, I think there'll be a way where, especially because Flair's going to be on the outside, I think we will do some type of finish where, AJ cheats, he screws Joe, and then potentially we'll see maybe next month AJ and partner versus, Joe and the number one contender.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Because they've done stuff like that similarly before a couple of years ago. I remember Joe teamed up with Nash and Christian to take on Angle and the Angle Alliance / Christian Coalition, which was AJ and Top Goat. So,
right, and they built that one up for months. That Angle and Joe match for Lockdown. They built that one up from trace that one all the way back to November.
Right. I could actually make the argument that I think the day Kurt Angle signed, it would not surprise me if someone thought, well, the best guy for Joe to beat ultimately to win the title is Angle. It seemed like from the minute Angle stepped through the ropes in TNA, his main rival was Samoa Joe.
Right. Oh, they worked very well together. We saw. I say it all the time. I think they rushed that first match. I think they should have. That could have been a Bound for Glory main event if they had built it up, but instead they rushed it. But they had very good matches together, and that was some of Joe's best work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just that Joe's portrayed as this guy that's almost unstoppable most of the time. I mean, if you look consistently through Joe's stint with TNA, he crushes a lot of mid-carders and below. Guys like Jesse Neal, Jay Lethal, having a chance against him. It takes someone like Kurt Angle or AJ or Daniels just to get offense against the guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, look at that match he had with Steiner at Destination X last year, where he just annihilated Steiner. I thought it was great, but yeah. Speaking of Scott Steiner, he is no longer with TNA, and it's official, and I'm actually kind of sad about that. But what can you do?
I'm mixed about it because I like Steiner, but on the other hand, if somebody's got to go, especially because, and somebody unfortunately does have to go because we do have a lot of new talent in TNA right now, I would prefer that Steiner goes away in lieu of someone like, Brutus Magnus or Doug Williams or Eric Young or some of the guys that I really, really, really love, and kind of adopted, as my own. Because, people know this about me, and I'm not going to deny it. I'm sort of like TNA's head coach, as Eric Clance would call me. I'm the guy that if you ask me how they're doing, it's like, oh, we're doing great. We've got a great show up. Like I'm Mr. TNA, ladies and gentlemen. I make no bones about the fact that I'm biased. I'm proud to be biased.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think if you're going to bring in all these new guys, you can't throw away the young guys that made TNA what it is now. I'd much rather lose Steiner, who doesn't really have a whole lot of gas left in the tank, as opposed to somebody like the guys that you named. But at the same time, I feel like, okay, we're losing Steiner, but you're bringing in the Nasty Boys, Orlando Jordan, Sean Morley, who else? Hopefully not Brutus Beefcake. And to me, Steiner, even though he was past his prime, was a veteran that gave 100% every time he went out there. And if you don't agree, then I don't know who you're watching, because Steiner's a broken down, injured guy that is doing moves that he probably should not be doing. And, I think TNA's going to miss having him around, because he was a veteran that gave everything he had.
Right. And I agree with you on that fact. That's why I'm sad to see it go, because, Scott Steiner, stole a lot of shows in TNA, and honestly, go back and look at the work this guy did since coming to TNA. He has rebuilt himself, his image, I think has been somewhat saved, because after the WWE run, everybody crucified this guy and said, my God, he sucks. What the hell happened to this guy? Yet when he came to TNA, maybe he never recaptured that mid-90s, holy God, this guy's amazing style. But my God, he had great match after great match in TNA. The majority of his matches in TNA are good, rewatchable, fun matches to see.
And it's a near 50-year-old man doing top rope Hurricane Ranas or Frankensteiners, and just busting out all these moves that I didn't think he was able to do anymore. Like he had a match with Petey at last year's Against All Odds, and he broke out the Steiner screwdriver. I didn't know he could still do that.
Yeah, part of that I think is that he did get kind of smart as time went on. He realized, well, maybe I should save some of these matches. Some of these moves, because the Frankenstein was something he only really did on pay-per-view. And like you said, he only really used the screwdriver that one time, but yeah, it was so cool to see it. You kind of wish he would have, used that maybe against Joe or someone, just because it would have sent this real message of, oh my God, he had to go that far into the reserves to, try to win this match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of guys that are gone from TNA, Bobby Lashley apparently is gone.
Yeah, well, they did the angle where Bischoff fired him. He's doing work with Strikeforce. What I've heard, and this is what I've read on the internet, is that he's got a deal with TNA right now where he'll focus on his MMA now, and if there's an opportunity for him to come back, they'll leave the window open. Personally, I feel like, wasn't the goal for him to be like a hybrid wrestling MMA guy? And now that he's got an MMA deal, it's like, oh, see you later, bye. It's like, all right, well, that was a waste of time.
Well, we don't really know what exactly is going to happen. Like you said, it's just a report on the internet. Now, we did see that in the weeks leading up to this, the angle was he wanted to be fired, and then Bischoff fired him. So, I mean, for all we know, he's going to jump somebody out against all odds. I mean, that's it. I mean, I like Lashley. I personally thought that he was kind of helping him. I thought the I want to be let go gimmick kind of gave him a new life in a way where it's like, well, finally this guy is doing something somewhat interesting. So, it's kind of a shame to lose him now. And who knows? I mean, maybe they have, I would like to see him come back one more time, if nothing else, just to kill off the character in a way. So maybe I don't know who you would do it against. Maybe Morgan, maybe Suicide, maybe Wolf or something, where they get that big win, and then they get the credit for being the guy that took the MMA guy out. But I
think that would be a great win to give to somebody like Morgan. I think that would be a great career builder for Morgan. Because Lashley, I mean, he was basically, except for that one match against Steiner, which that was avenged, I don't think he lost any matches.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. He might have lost like one or two by outside interference or something, but I think that was like the only really notable one that he ever lost.
Mm-hmm. No, I honestly don't remember. Now you have this guy. I mean, he beat Samoa Joe at Bound for Glory, which I don't think any of us liked it, but we were like, okay, well, if they're going to do this MMA hybrid business thing, it's like, okay, I understand it. It's a business decision. He beat Scott Steiner, but that's not, Scott Steiner's a veteran. That doesn't do any damage. But he destroyed Lethal Consequences on Impact and pushed this angle, which was actually pretty good. And he beat Abyss. He won the PCS tournament, which I guess he's not going to get that title shot. So that made that entire episode worthless, unfortunately. And he gets all these wins, and now he's leaving. And even that good angle they did of him wanting to be let out of his contract, there's no payoff to it because nobody beats him and, I guess kicks him out of TNA. So it just feels like a waste.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It's like, but goodbye Lashley. Who knows what happens? I mean, now one thing I'm wondering, and I don't watch Strike Force, but I mean, I always thought there was supposed to be some type of sponsorship deal with Lashley. So I'm wondering if when he goes in MMA fights, does he have like a TNA logo on his trunk somewhere? Or?
I don't know. I haven't watched. I heard he won his first fight.
Yeah, he won his first fight, which was on the same card that Herschel Walker made his mixed martial arts debut.
Heard he destroyed the guy.
Yeah, but then again, to be fair, from what I understand, this guy wasn't exactly like a well-known or notable guy, either. So it's kind of like, if there's kind of a sign that mixed martial arts might be jumping the shark, as they say in the entertainment business, it might be the fact that Herschel Walker's now doing it, and apparently the Green Ranger wants to do it.
I hear the Green Ranger actually, for a while now, he's been, I'm not sure what the deal is. He's been sponsoring clothing lines for MMA superstars. And I know that he was a karate expert when he did Power Rangers. Like, that was the only thing about that show that wasn't bullshit, is that, yeah, I actually am good at karate. So I guess he wants to do it now. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you ever watched the old Power Rangers episodes, you can tell that he was the only one that knew what he was doing, because he'd be the only one that would have fights where they would not be, Batman style so far back you couldn't tell who it was.
Yeah. yeah. Oh man, though, he was everybody's favorite. I'll give him that.
Well, yeah, he was the cool loner one that was the boyfriend of the cute pink one.
Yeah, Pink Ranger was kind of cute. He was kind of cute. You know what? I saw a picture of her recently. She's close to 40 years old now. I heard she just gave birth to a kid. She looks exactly the same.
All right. Okay, that's good to hear. I was a big fan of her. She may have been she was one of my very first crushes as a young boy.
Her and, let's see, with me it was her, Miss Elizabeth, Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, and Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth.
I think with me it was the Pink Ranger, and then Kelly from Married with Children, and Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, like you.
Yeah. I remember just staring at Kelly. I was like 5 years old, Kelly Kapowski, and just thinking, I don't know why I like this, but I like looking at her. I'm not sure why. I guess I hadn't figured it out yet, but there's something about her that I liked, and I guess my heterosexuality was confirmed at a very young age.
Yes. And, just kind of trying to get back to wrestling, there is something kind of interesting that TNA will do with this pay-per-view, and that's that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get a first in wrestling, or at least a first time in a long time, where TNA will actually introduce an active rankings system for their challengers for the world title, which is like, how cool is that that someone's actually going to do this again?
I think that's a very good idea. I really do. I think we've talked about it all the time where people lose like 5 matches in a row and then they somehow get a title shot. And it doesn't make any sense. We talked about it with Turning Point where, okay, the 2 guys that lost at Bound for Glory are getting a title shot against AJ. That doesn't make much sense. So, okay, hopefully if they introduce this ranking system and do it right, we won't have any of those problems. And wins and losses will actually matter.
Right. Now, they are saying that apparently it's Bischoff's idea, so it's like, thank you, Bischoff. Because...
there's one good idea.
I mean, Bischoff, he gets credited as this somewhat fumbling idiot, but he does actually have some good ideas and some good points. I'm not saying that he doesn't make mistakes. I mean, he's made a lot of those too, but it's nice to see that if this idea actually works, be like, this could be really interesting, and something to follow week to week, and, they could, obviously, like maybe during the graphics they use for ring introductions, they could say, they could put like the number where the guy's ranked right there. So I mean, it's just kind of interesting. It's another little stat for wrestling fans to follow because I think I heard somewhere that the Bill Goldberg streak was Mike Tenay's idea to follow along with. He said sports fans love to follow around those little stats, like who has the record, who doesn't have the record. And in wrestling, we don't really have that. That's why they start saying things like, yeah, Goldberg's 70-0, Goldberg's 72-0, Goldberg's 120-0.
Yeah, and that was one of the best angles from the Monday Night Wars was the rise of Goldberg and his undefeated streak. And
my favorite undefeated streak though was actually Sid Vicious's when they would just make up bullshit numbers. He'd be like, I'm 70-0, and you were like, he hasn't even had 70 matches since he came back. And then he said something like, I can't wait to get 3 more wins. I think he beat up 2 other guys. And then he was somehow 56-0. And then at one point he said, yeah, he's beat up 18 guys in the back already. It's like, but still, how does the count go backwards?
I remember that. That's actually on WrestleCrap. And anybody who's never been to the WrestleCrap website, a lot of their articles are pretty funny. And that one was one of their funniest. Because it was like, dude, like whoever wrote this angle is not very good at math.
Right, or oh god, I mean, Sid, I have my mixed emotions about Sid, more on the negative side, but he has given me some great comedy over the years. I think there was one where he was going to face Nash in a match, and he said, Kevin Nash, I'm twice the man you are, and I have half the brain.
I think around the same time that was when he had the. Once I break Goldberg's streak, I'm going to shake all over.
Yes. I'm going to shake all over. Like, so what are you implying there, Sid, that doing this will give you an orgasm?
Possibly. It might, different strokes for different blokes.
By the way, have you seen, like, the recent picture of Sid that's out there?
With his hair all messed up and all over the place, yeah.
His hair all Bret, he looks like John Bon Jovi in the early 90s. Like, when Bon Jovi cut his hair, but he still had it kind of long and had it really fluffy, that's what it looks like these days.
Wow.
Like, okay, whatever.
Feel bad for him. Well, I don't know, but yeah, I getting back to TNA, I really like this ranking system idea, and I think it could lead to some interesting setups in the future. And I've heard some people complaining about it because they said it makes the product too complicated. I don't know a sport in existence that doesn't have some kind of ranking system. Boxing has it. MMA has it. Football has it. I follow the stats every week during football season. Basketball has it. Baseball has it. I don't know why wrestling wouldn't have some kind of ranking system itself.
Well, I want to know is who the hell are these people that think it's going to make things too complicated. It's like, okay, the guys are being ranked. The guys with the guys that are higher will be more likely to get a title shot than the guys that are lower. You're honestly going to tell me it's going to make it that much more complicated?
No, it'll only make, if they do it right, it'll only make things make sense.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, part of me's wondering if that's just those people that want to slap TNA down every time they make a move left or right. It's like, oh, well, TNA came up with this, but this idea can't possibly be good.
Well, isn't ROH doing it too?
Yeah, ROH has done it a few times. They have the top 5, and now they have the what they call the pick 6.
Okay.
So,
well, I think, honestly, I think this idea of a ranking system is so good, I think they should apply it to their other divisions, too. Tag, X Division, Knockouts?
I agree. I think they absolutely should, because, like we said, if done right, this could actually explain things to people. And, hey, potentially, I mean, you could have, maybe do something special where it's like, okay, if so-and-so wins, he shoots right to number 1 in the rankings. Like, you do some kind of specialty match of like, okay, it's a 3-man gauntlet match, and the guy who's running the gauntlet wins, bam, he's right up there in the rankings automatically for some reason. I mean, I'm not saying they need to do stuff like that, but it's like there's a lot of possibilities with these rankings that they could use.
Right. Okay, and, we are actually over time here, so, yeah, we're a couple minutes over time. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
Well, I do have some good news, some more good news. Awesome calling TNA, apparently.
That's good. Good for TNA. Might not be good for her. I don't know. If she's not happy being there, she might not put her best foot forward, but I don't know.
I mean, I'll also ask this, though. It's like, where else really is there for her to work? I mean, she could go back to Japan, which I don't know if she'd have to, if you really want to move full-time in Japan, just because it's like, man, I mean, you're away from your home for so long, and it's like, then there's the independence, because, I mean, as great as Kong is, even if she signed with the WWE, she'd be miserable.
I don't think WWE would sign her. I really don't. I think they would think she doesn't have the model look, and she's not what we're looking for. I think Beth Phoenix has found herself a great niche in the WWE in that she does have kind of the model look, but she's also this big, strong woman that can beat the hell out of men, which she did at the Royal Rumble. So she's found this awesome niche. Kong doesn't have that model look, and I don't think they're going to be interested in her.
Right. I mean, I'd be afraid if they did sign Kong, they'd make her like Baby Huey or something.
Oh, my God. I could see them doing that. I honestly could. I mean, when the obvious idea is, why don't you just bring her in and let her kill people? I mean, especially since the WWE is PG now, I don't see any reason. If the WWE is PG now, why do we keep showcasing models? I mean, we can't show off as much skin as we used to, so whatever. And it appears that Nick has dropped off the line, so I will drop off as well. So thanks for listening, everybody, and tune in next week. Nick, James, and I will be back on the show, hopefully with an interview, and hope you all liked it. So good day, everybody.